Good morning, fourth year students. This is your second lecture in literary criticism about Plato. You remember we classified the literary, let's say, periods of criticism into first classical, and then we moved on to Middle Ages, then new classical, and so on. So we are going to start first with the classical period. What do you mean by classical period? It is a very ancient time, even before Christ. يعني BC بنحكي عن تاريخ هاي الفترة هي قبل الميلاد. We are going to start with Plato اللي هو أغلبكم يعني يعرفه هو أفلاطون باللغة العربية نسميه Plato. Why is it that you're starting with Plato? Because actually we can trace in his philosophy some kind of a theory. We can call it a theory in literary criticism, and it is considered by many historians to be the first literary theory. يعني احنا من اجينا فكرنا انه شنو تاريخ النقد منين يبدأ، شفنا انه بليتو افلاطون عنده بعض يعني خلينا نقول الاشياء في فلسفته اللي إلها علاقة بالنقد الادبي. First of all, before we go through the part which is related to criticism, let's see Plato's theory itself. What is it? Plato has a very famous theory which is called theory of forms. Okay? نظرية هي بالعربي نسميها نظرية المثل أو الصور أحيانا يسموها. Theory of forms. What does it say, this theory? طبعا هاي النظرية هي أساس كل فلسفته، بس احنا راح ناخذ منها ما يتعلق بالنقد. The core of Plato's thought resides in his theory of forms. Okay? According to the theory, the ultimate reality is spiritual. يعني خلينا نقدر نقول Plato was mainly concerned with spirituality. He believed that the reality of this world is spiritual, not material. What does this mean? It means that anything that you see around you is not real unless it has a form in the spiritual world, or it has a certain, let's say, ideal or a shape or a copy in the spiritual world. يعني هو خلينا نقول نقدر نقول إنه هو قسم العالم إلى قسمين spiritual and what physical or material. قال أكو قسمين عالمين أكو عالم مادي وعالم روحاني. هو هيك قسم الأمور. The spiritual world is what Plato considers to be the real one. It is the real one. It is the complete. It is the ideal world. أحيانا شي يسميه أحيانا نسميه the one, the ideal. هاي كلها تسميات يعني لنفس الشيء. The world of forms. Okay? The spiritual world هاي نظريته شو تقول exists before the physical أو ما إحنا نسميه material world. What does this mean? It means that the physical world could not exist unless what? There is a spiritual world which exists before it. يعني أكو شيء سابق لشيء. يعني العالم الروحاني يسبق عالم المادة. لازم أكو عالم روحاني يعني موجود وعلى أساسه يوجد العالم المادي. This is his theory. The physical world is a copy. لاحظوا هنا يعني يقول هذا العالم اللي احنا نشوفه حولنا العالم المادي مو حقيقي. هذا عالم خلينا نقول نسخة تقليد. شلون احنا نقول مرات هاي حاجة أصلية وهاي حاجة لا نسخة من عندها تقليد من عندها. هنا نفس الفكرة تقريبا. The physical world is a copy. لاحظوا الكلمة هنا اللي نستخدمها replica or an imitation. يعني هاي كلها تصلح يعني احنا نقدر نستخدم أي واحدة منهم. Of the spiritual world. What we see in this world is not real. Why? Because the reality, the ultimate reality exists where? In the spiritual world. Okay? إذن هاي خلينا نقول مبدئيا الفكرة الأساسية اللي طرحها أفلاطون. For example, للتوضيح خلينا نقول هنا a chair in the physical world does not exist unless it has a form in the spiritual world. هاي كمثال توضيحي أيضا راح تلقوه عندكم بالملزمة هو نفسه المثال. إذن هاي خلينا نقول أساس النظرية. This is the basic theory that Plato came with, and according to this theory he based his whole philosophy in every field that he has dealt with. But we are just concerned with what? With literature, with criticism. So, the impact of the theory on Greek culture, what kind of impact does it have on the Greek culture? Let's see. Before Plato, we are now talking about the Greek society, the Greek culture, what kind of culture it was. Before Plato, Greek culture relied on artistic works, like for example what poetry, ethics. طبعا هم مشهورين، احنا نعرف اليونان مشهورين بالملاحم. Like for example the Iliad, the Odyssey، الإلياذة، الأوديسة، كلها ملاحم مشهورة يعني بالأدب الإغريقي أو اليوناني. Okay, imagination, all these things that are artistic, literary, they relied on them to what? To create order in society through presenting good characters, performing good deeds. So how can you teach people goodness؟ يعني تعلم الناس خلينا نقول الأفعال الجيدة، تعلمهم أخلاق مثلا، تعلمهم الفضيلة virtue. How can you teach them? According to the Greek culture, you can do that through performing certain plays in which we have characters doing good actions, and people would get what? Influenced by what they see by these characters, and then they would learn to be good, to be virtuous. هذا كان عندهم خلينا نقول الطريقة اللي هم ماشيين عليها. Through presenting good characters, these works were considered the standard method for discovering truth and learning about virtue. يعني أنا شلون أعلم الناس من خلال هاي الطريقة. هاي كانت عندهم الطريقة خلينا نقول هي الطريقة القياسية، المعيار، يعني إنه شلون تعلم الناس تتبع هذا الأسلوب. Plato objected. So Plato didn't agree with them. He didn't accept this way. He said that this is not the right way, or this is not the method that we should follow in order to teach people virtues. Why? Because sometimes in these plays or in these epics, what do we have? What kind of characters? They are not all good characters. Sometimes we have bad characters, evil. Sometimes even the gods. تعرفون انتم بالملاحم اليونانية شنو عندنا characters عادة يكونون gods, sometimes heroes, kings. So for example, one of the epics would include the characters of gods. طبعا هنا gods نقصد بها الآلهة، هم عندهم عدة آلهة. Characters of gods doing immoral deeds, like for example cheating, like stealing, like killing, causing people to suffer. So how can we depend on such works to teach people virtue? كان اعتراض منه، اعتراض بليتو، قال هاي الأعمال لا تصلح. Why? Because you are، لاحظوا هنا خلينا نقول النقد. See, this is the point where we can say that this is the first criticism in history. يعني احنا ليش اعتبرنا بليتو هو من خلينا نقول هو أول واحد هسه احنا ندرسه بالنقد؟ لأنه تلاحظون هذا الموقف، this attitude against literature and against epics and plays and poetry is considered to be criticism. He's criticizing them. He's telling them that your way of telling people stories through plays, through epics, is not a good way to teach them anything. لاحظون إذا هو انتقد، إذا هنا احنا اعتبرنا هذا بداية للنقد الأدبي. أوكي، إذا شنو البديل؟ You see, or why, let's say, if we go deeper to this objection, he said that these artistic works are a copy of something which is already a copy. يقول لهم أنتم أصلا هذا العالم اللي عايشين به هو عبارة عن عالم مقلد، يعني محاكاة، نسخة، مو حقيقي هذا العالم. It is not real. And you are creating stories which are not real of something which is not real. يعني أنت هو شيء، يعني تخيلوا أنت مثلا أنت عندك حاجة أصلية وعندك شيء نسخة تقليد، تروح تسوي نسخة على اللي هو أصلا نسخة، يعني هي نسخة هو تقليد، تروح تسوي عليه تقليد من جديد. You see, you are getting steps away from reality. You are not getting closer to reality. This is Plato's objection. You are creating a copy of something which is already a copy. You should get closer to the spiritual world. What you are doing now is that you are getting far away from it. Okay? هذا كان اعتراض بليتو. He stated that to learn virtue, people need to realize the ideals and forms of the spiritual world. يقول إحنا كل ما نريد نعلم الناس فضيلة، نريد نعلمهم أشياء جيدة، شو نسوي لهم؟ We need to what? We need to get them closer. We need to help them to understand and to realize things in their ideal forms. Okay? نقربهم علما، نقربهم من هذا العالم الروحاني، مو نخليهم يقتربون أكثر من الماديات، من العالم المادي. You see? But how can you achieve this? يعني Plato, when he presented such a theory, he could, he should give us what? A replacement. When he objected to literature and to epics, he should what? He should present something as a substitution. What is his method? If literature is not the good method, so what is the right method? They can achieve. لاحظوا هنا. He believes that people can achieve that اللي هو شنو يتعلمون الفضيلة through abstract thinking and philosophical inquiry. So how can I understand things in their ideal forms? How can I get closer to the spiritual world? Through what? According to Plato, through learning abstract thinking. التفكير المجرد، التفكير النظري، يعني إنه الناس يتعلمون التفكير. Okay, not just copy what they see in the world. They have to learn how to think by themselves abstractly بطريقة مجردة. Okay, يعني يكون تفكيرهم نظري، يكون تفكيرهم شبيه فلسفي. Always asking questions, always trying to understand the metaphysics of things, the reality behind things, not take things as they are in the physical world. Okay, so this was Plato's objection to this method, which was very well known in the Greek culture. طبعا هذا خلى نظريتي يكون لها فد أثر عميق. You see, this is just in brief what we have today, because we are going to continue later. We have other things to say about Plato's criticism. Okay, so I hope that you have understood the lecture, and if you have any questions, of course, you are welcome anytime to ask in our group in Telegram. Thank you very much.